Hi, Jennifer. It's really good to see you here. I'm really excited to sort of introduce you to everyone at the Tamarack Foundation. So just to sort of get your introduction started off, could you tell me a little bit more about yourself as an artist and an entrepreneur and an educator?
So my name is Jennifer Reis, and I wear a number of different hats. So I am a textile artist, so I make both fine art and fine craft, hand stitched, hand dyed, functional pieces. I also exhibit my work as a fine artist. I do embellished textile assemblages. And I've been running an LLC doing that work for about 14 years at this point. And then I'm also a creative entrepreneur. I did the math, I've been selling work for about 25 years. So I went to
That's
an art
great.
school, yeah, that actually um, was pretty entrepreneurially oriented. And so I would participate in their student art sales and actually do quite well. And then, that's evolved. Right now, my creative entrepreneurship, I have a renewed e-commerce site that I've been selling a lot through. I'm a teaching artist, so that was a big part of my creative practice as an arts entrepreneur. But that has taken a beat. So I've had to pivot and learn how to make utilize other revenue streams. And I'm currently a professor at UNC Greensboro, where I teach arts entrepreneurship and arts administration and management.
Well, that's wonderful. And I just want to say we're really honored to have you and to be able to present this workshop to artists in our region so that they can benefit from your expertise in all of those areas. So maybe you could tell me a little bit more about who this boot camp is designed for. And if I'm an artist trying to decide whether or not to register for the class, um, who do you think would benefit most and what sort of subjects are we going to cover?
Sure. So it's for emerging and also sort of mid-career artists who feel like they need a pivot. It's for artists who are not comfortable with getting their work out there, not necessarily happy with where their digital marketing is, still unsure about what is the appropriate pricing models they should follow for their work. Maybe they want to refine or pivot their business model, especially for the present and in the future. I've worked significantly with artists in your region because for close to 20 years, I was the gallery director at Morehead State University in Morehead, Kentucky, and
Wow.
also worked with organizations in that area to serve Eastern Kentucky and Southeastern Kentucky, working with both fine artists and artisans, and teaching and mentoring in sort of the creative entrepreneurship space. As far as what we're going to be talking about, I design my courses to be in the shape of, you could think of it as a funnel or a tornado, where we start out, we're real broad, and we get information out about sort of the what, how, and why of what we're doing. And then we run those through entrepreneurial activities like learning how to use the business model canvas to kind of flesh out our revenue streams, our costs, what value we're bringing to the market, do a SWOT analysis. We go into some activities to help us with empathy, with our user and buyer empathy. And we also talk about branding, marketing, and price structure, and then also sort of an introduction to e-commerce. So, there's a lot of potential out there with e-commerce, and what there's strategies to do it. There's ways to do it efficiently so it doesn't take over your life, to reach the markets that you want, and to have that sort of on-point digital marketing to go on alongside that e-commerce. Then we wrap it up with action steps. So we talk about, okay, so we've learned all these things. We spent a day together. This is very cohort based. It's about sharing with one another, being supportive, having that shared knowledge of the group. And then we think about at the end of the day, okay, in November 2021, where do we want to be? Like, what would our sort of ideal vision for our sustainable venture look like? Okay, let's think about and reflect on that, and then we're going to do what's called backwards planning, which is we go, okay, given that it's a year, what do I need to do to step me forward to where I want to be in late October, early November 2021.
That's really wonderful. I also really like that you're providing a framework to develop action steps, because there are a lot of resources out there and you can read until your head spins. But actually putting those things into motion can be really difficult. And so that's really helpful. One thing I want to talk about is the nature of the boot camp itself. We'll have a good chunk of time on that Friday to really get into things. So how interactive is this boot camp going to be? How are the exercises going to be delivered?
Sure. So I work off of a sort of learn, do, share model. And so we will say, go over like, what is a business model canvas? How do the different blocks in the canvas work? Then I talk through like, okay, well, what does this look like for me as a teaching artist? Or what does this look like as a maker who's putting products out there to sell? And then all the participants work on their business model canvas, and then we share. So we learn from each other. So every step of the way, from the venture inventory that we do to the end with the action steps and a personal mission statement, is we're constantly sharing and learning and doing with one another.
Okay, and what are your goals for people at the end of this boot camp? What do you hope that people are going to walk away with?
Well, I hope that they take away inspiration and hope grounded in reality of the opportunities that are out there, but also understanding what they need to do as far as strategies to actually undertake a new venture or endeavor in a way that is going to be basically successful. The other thing is I want people to be able, with all my workshops, to take away skills that they can use as they just move forward as creative entrepreneurs. So like, for instance, whenever I have like the new $1 million idea in my head, I do some of these exercises. They might not be formal, but like I will do a SWOT analysis and go, okay, well, if this is a new venture for me, what are my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats within this new venture? I also think about my client avatar's name is Pat. And I've spent a lot of time with Pat, and I'll talk all about Pat during the workshop as an example of what an avatar is. But another thing I do is when I'm making something or I have an idea to make something, I think, is this going to be like Pat's thing? Is she going to like really like this? Because I have a pretty consistent avatar that I work with. So that's what I hope people will get out of it, that they'll feel like that they've got sort of a pivoted mindset of sort of opportunities in, our so-called normal now and what our normal is going to look like a year to 3 years out. And then also take those sort of like hard skills that they can continue to use, throughout the years.
Well, that sounds great. So as part of registering for this class, we are going to be having people go through a pre-test. Can you tell me a little bit about what to expect from that and what it's for?
Sure. So the pre-test is about 10 pretty basic questions, and it does a couple things. First of all, it allows me to take the temperature basically of the room or of the Zoom, as it were, to see like where people are in their comfort level with different things like business modeling, with utilizing financial data to build a sustainable business, how happy they are with their digital marketing. Because with these cohorts, everybody is at a different space. So it's really helpful for me as a facilitator to get that information beforehand. And then I make sure I'm meeting everybody's needs. And there's a few also open-ended questions that will be really helpful. The other thing that this is used for is like I mentioned, I do this a lot, but assessment is really important. And understanding what was efficient or what worked well and what didn't. So the pretest will be followed up with another survey that matches it, that's going to basically see how far we move the needle on those points. And so that's going to tell me as a facilitator moving forward with my own consulting work, what do I need to, make sure that I'm providing more efficiently or pushing out a little bit more.
So this is a course that's going to be really customized to the people who are taking it. So you have a really great framework, and the pre and post survey tests are sort of the sandwich that makes that encapsulated and personalized for the people who are benefiting from it. So I have one last question. Could you speak to the importance of continuing education for creative entrepreneurs?
Yes, actually, like I am constantly learning myself, and not only to improve my own business, but to share with participants and then to share with my students at UNCG. And I actually am enrolling in another creative entrepreneurship program that's going to start in the fall and go through the spring, because I want to test run a new idea. I want to be with a cohort as a student and participate that way, and just, learn new things and refresh and continue to be relevant and grow. So I'm a huge proponent of lifelong learning. I think it keeps us young. It helps us meet other people. It helps us learn from our peers. So that is just something that's always, an opportunities that I personally take advantage of, and I think it's really important.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me to sort of introduce you to our artists here in West Virginia and help them make the decision as to whether or not they want to sign up for this awesome boot camp. The details of that will be in the links and the descriptions for this video, and I will put an address for the registration page on this when we go through and edit it. But thank you so much for your time, and I'm really looking forward to being able to share your expertise with more people around here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward too. I love West Virginia, so I'm glad to sort of be virtually back.
Yes, well, we're glad to virtually have you.
Okay, take care, everyone.